And we'll be going to the next part of this lecture series, nitrogen cycle. Now, if you need to work on aquaponics, this theoretical aspect of nitrogen cycle is very, very crucial. It is very, very crucial. Not understanding this part may not directly affect your aquaponics system, but it may inhibit your ability to pick what you need for your construction, especially if you are doing it yourself. So, what is nitrogen cycle? What does it all mean and all of that? So we'll start with explaining. Remember, so I will do a recap. When we started, we talked about the fact that we have aquaculture, then we talked about hydroponics. Now, in the aquaculture aspect, so we said the two of them joined together is what is called aquaponics. We remember that. Now, the aquaculture aspect, we know the basic thing inside here is fish. The hydroponic aspect, the basic thing inside here is plant. When I say basic thing, I mean the thing of interest is the plant you are growing. The thing of interest here is the fish you are rearing. Now, the waste product of fish is actually ammonia. Ammonia is NH3. Now, this is the waste product from fish. This is their natural waste product. Unfortunately, this ammonia that is produced from fish, when it becomes excess in the water, it becomes poisonous to the fish, because ammonia as a gas on its own is toxic. So I take that again. We have the aquaculture aspect and the hydroponic aspect. We know the aquaculture is meant to produce fish. The hydroponics part is meant to produce plants. Together we have aquaponics, and we said the major waste product of fish. So when we say the major, it sounds like there is another thing. The waste product of fish is ammonia. And I said, this ammonia on its own, it is toxic to fish. Unfortunately, plants also cannot take up ammonia. So it means you have an excreta that is bad for the fish and not useful to the plants. However, remember that your fish lives inside water. That's like stating the obvious, I know. Once this ammonia hits the water, most of the ammonia becomes oxidized. So when we say oxidized, it means it becomes activated, in quotes, to what is called ammonium, NH4+. The 4 is a subscript, the plus is a superscript. So it becomes NH4+. As a matter of fact, about 97% of the ammonia that was released from the fish becomes ammonium, while the remaining 3% remains as ammonia. Ammonium is still dangerous to the fish, but it is not as poisonous as ammonia. A little concentration of ammonia will kill your fishes. It will take a higher concentration or accumulation of ammonium for the fishes to be destroyed. I hope this makes sense so far. So we have ammonium now present in this place. So what we are trying to do in aquaponics is, how do we eliminate ammonium? Because we know that the more we eliminate ammonium, the ammonia will be converted again to ammonium. I hope that makes sense somehow. What I'm saying is, you know we have more ammonium than ammonia. If I can remove this ammonium from this, it means I would have only a worth of 3% remaining in the total volume of water. So another 97% of this again will be converted. So the more this is converted to this, the less of this that would remain. And the less of this that remains, the better. But I need to find a way to remove this continuously. Remember, we are discussing nitrogen cycle. So the cycle starts first from the fish gives us ammonia. Ammonia becomes ammonium. there is no enzyme or anything taking place here, then this ammonium is now converted to nitrites. This ammonium is converted to nitrites by what we call a bacteria we call AOB, ammonium oxidizing bacteria. So once the ammonium oxidizing bacteria comes into play, this is NO2 minus, for those of us that likes to write and know what each one means. So the ammonium oxidizing bacteria converts ammonium to the nitrites. Again, the nitrites is not as poisonous as ammonium to the fish. So what we are saying is this one's concentration has to be really, really plenty before the fish will get poisoned. So we started with ammonia. From ammonia we have ammonium. With your ammonium oxidizing bacteria, we now have nitrites. Remember what we've always said, not all bacteria are poisonous or are dangerous. There are some beneficial bacteria. So an example of a beneficial bacteria in the agricultural sector is this AOB. Okay, this one doesn't mean any other business for the business mogul amongst us. This one means ammonium oxidizing bacteria. Now, again, the plant cannot also make use of nitrites, which means we still need to find something to do with the nitrites. The nitrite again is converted to what is called nitrates. This is by nitrite oxidizing bacteria, NOB. So now we have NO3 2 minus. Now, once it becomes nitrate, the plant is able to take it up. So I take that again. The fish released ammonia. Ammonia in the pure form, even at little concentration, is poisonous to the fish and is of no use to the plants. Then ammonia gets converted to ammonium because of its contact with water. It becomes oxidized to ammonium. As ammonium, it is active, but it is only poisonous to the fish when the concentrations become really high, unlike ammonia that is poisonous to the fish even at little concentration. The good news for the fish is most of the ammonia gets converted to ammonium, but we will need this ammonium to clear out, because the more I clear out my ammonium, the more my ammonia is converted to ammonium. I hope that makes sense somehow. So the ammonium through a bacteria, when we say ammonium oxidizing bacteria, what it really does is the bacteria is feeding on the ammonium, is eating the ammonium. As it is eating the ammonium, what it is giving out as its own waste product is nitrites. That is what we mean. So it's working on it and turning it to a nitrite. Then nitrogen oxidizing bacteria will now come and feed on those nitrites to form nitrates. Now, once nitrate is produced, in this form, the root of the plant is able to take it up. So if you look at it, we have formed a complete cycle so that the fish now can take back clean water devoid of ammonia and its derivatives. So the fish gets back clean water that has none of these guys inside. Then again it excretes mucil and the process continues, so that this nitrate becomes the nutrient for your plant that you are growing. I hope that makes sense so far. Now, you realize that your ammonium, I want to be sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, I want to be sure I've discussed. Okay, so this ammonium that we talked about, this ammonia rather, about 70% of it is released in the feces and urine of fishes. Then about 80% comes out from their gills. So the source, how does the ammonia come? 70% will come out with feces and urine. You know that even for human beings, you have some ammonia in your urine. That is why, God forbid, you have a kidney problem. It's okay, they want to test your nitrite. How much nitrites or nitrates do you have in your urine? Then the gills releases 80%, which is the most. Now, having discussed all of these, the question is, why are we concerned about all these things we discussed? The level of ammonium nitrates that you have in your system also depends on the pH of your water. 1. 2. How much ammonia you are producing that can be converted to ammonium, to nitrite, to nitrate, will determine how much plant your system can support. So, if you are producing very little ammonia, obviously the amount of nitrate you'll be producing will be little, which means the amount of plants that you can support would also be little. So, we need to know how to calculate this. That is why the nitrogen cycle is important. 3, another reason why we are studying the nitrogen cycle is you need to also know how much of these bacteria are present in your system. Because if you are producing so much ammonia, but you do not have enough of this AOB and NOB, that's the ammonium oxidizing bacteria and nitrogen oxidizing bacteria in your system, you are not going to produce enough nitrates to feed your plants. So it is because of us trying to increase the AOB and NOB that we talk about the process of filtration. Your filtration process, we are going to discuss it in, I think, the last class under this aquaponic system. But just put in mind that the whole process of filtration is you are trying to create a platform that would allow for the accelerated growth of AOB and NOB bacteria. I hope that makes sense. In some tests, if you are using textbook in your primary school, they probably call these ones nitrifying bacteria, where you have things like your nitrosomonas and all of that. This is all what they were talking about. So now we start with your pH. How does pH affect? So for the sake of naming, this is nitrosomonas, then this is the nitrobacter bacteria, but that's for those that want to do naming ceremony. Now, why is pH really, really important? I'm cleaning the board to go to the pH. Now remember that we say your pH measures the level of acidity or alkalinity of the system. If your pH is too low, which is acidic, if the pH is high, that's alkaline. Now, if your pH is either of these two, yes, we know the obvious impact is number 1, it would affect the fishes. That is a given. 2, even if for some weird reasons the fishes can adapt, it would not allow for the proper growth of the bacteria. And remember, if the bacteria are not present, that is going to result in accumulation of your ammonia. Before we clean the body, we talked about the arrow. And if your ammonia should accumulate, it will poison and suffocate your fishes. I hope that makes sense. Then another thing again we also looked at is the level of dissolved oxygen. The level of dissolved oxygen in your system. So if you have a system, that is why we said in the earlier class we talked about not putting your system close to where you have things like trees. We talked about not putting your system close to trees. We talked about not putting your fish pond under direct sunlight. Now you realize if you have your system around where you have trees and the leaves begin to fall on them, you are going to have what you call saprozoic organisms saprophytic. Phytic is plants. So saprophytic, these are organisms that feed on, these are plants that feed on dead organisms. So you are going to have things like your fungi. Remember that fungi itself is a plant. let me look for a way to explain that. When you buy bread, for example, from the market and you leave the bread for a while, maybe for like a month or two, you see things like white mold growing on top. Now, those molds that are growing are plants, actually. They are fungi plants. And those plants are called saprophytic plants. The opposite of saprophytic is, of course, that's the animal, saprozoic, which are animals that feed on dead things. An example will be maggots. But let's come back here. So, your saprophytic. So, when you have your fish ponds and you have dead leaves, because you put it under a tree and you have dead leaves falling on top, automatically you are going to have your fungi, your saprophytic plants growing on top of those dead leaves. Now, the problem with that is, for these plants to grow, they are going to start using up some of the oxygen in the water. And once they begin to use some of the oxygen in the water, remember what we call the bacteria that are working. We said ammonium oxidizing bacteria. It needs oxygen to function. Nitrogen oxidizing bacteria. It needs oxygen to function. Which means if the oxygen level in the water is depleted, the bacteria cannot function, ammonia level would go up, and if ammonia or ammonium level should accumulate, your plants obviously will not be able to use it and your fishes will die. Now, on the flip side, if what you have is too much sunlight, remember when you have so much sunlight, the sunlight is going to allow for the growth of algae on your fish pond. People always ask, oh, why is my fish pond becoming green? Why is it looking greenish? That's because your algae is growing. The sunlight is too much. And as those algae begin to grow, they are going to compete with your fish for the oxygen available. And as they compete with your fish for the oxygen available, again, ammonia and all the rest will accumulate, which is why you see them changing water so regularly. But remember, for your aquaponics, you don't have that issue of saying, let me be changing water. Okay. So I think I've talked about that. So we'll then look at, I'll just draw a scale so that we would have an idea that we can use for most fishes generally. So I call this one, we call it the tolerance range. Tolerance range. So by tolerance range, we mean what is the range that the fishes and the plant will survive. Temperature in degrees centigrade. Most fishes survive between 15 and 14 degrees centigrade. Most fishes survive within this range. pH for most fishes is between 6 and 8.5. Again, remember this is for all fishes. For whichever one you want to work on, you need to be sure what his own range is specifically. Then ammonia level. For ammonia level, it should be below 3 milligrams per liter when you check. There are meters for testing all of these things. So if you are testing for ammonia level in your water, anything above 3 milligrams, you know there is already danger in sight. Then for your nitrate level, the same meter will give you all these parameters, also below 3 milligrams. Also below 3 milligrams per liter. Then for your nitrite level, also it should be below 3 milligrams per liter. Then the level of dissolved oxygen should be between 4 to 8 milligrams per liter. So I take that again. The tolerance range, remember I said for the tolerance range, we are talking about all of them together, all different types of fishes, your catfish, your tilapia, your koi, your choi, whatever it is you want to grow from goldfish, whichever it is. They range usually between 17 and 14 degrees centigrade for temperature. The pH usually is between 6 and 8.5. Again, try to find out the one you want to grow, what is the best. Ammonia level should not be more than 3 milligrams per liter, so everything below 3 milligrams. So whether it is ammonium, nitrite, or nitrate, they should all be below 3 milligrams per liter. Now, this is what it means. If I check my nitrate level, and my nitrate level is above 3 milligrams per liter, it means it can still take more plants. Because if what I am getting as nitrate level is more than 3 milligram per liter, it means I am not using all of the nitrate I am producing. So I can actually introduce more plants into the system. Then we talk about the dissolved oxygen. Then another thing again we'll be looking at, so I think I've talked about these. Another thing we'll be looking at is feed ratio rate. The feed rate ratio, because people always ask, how do I do my calculation? Like I said, this is how we'll get to know how much plants do we need to grow. So we have, let's call this our equilibrium. Here we have plants. Here we have fishes. We know between these two, we have our bacteria. And the bacteria are responsible for converting the waste from here for the plants to use it. However, before fish can have a waste, it gets a feed. So one of the things you need to first calculate is, what is the daily amount of feed that I need? What is the daily amount of feed that I need in gram per day? How much gram of feed do I produce or do I use? Do I feed? Because I know for most farmers, what they just do is they just go to the field, take their fish pellet and throw out. They don't even know how much they use per time. But you need to calculate. And remember, we say when you are feeding fishes, feed fishes what they can finish between 5 and 10 minutes. What the fish can eat between 5 and 10 minutes. So for those asking, how do I calculate how much my fish eats? Before you start, weigh what you want to feed your fish. So let's say this is my plate I want to use to feed the fish. First, weigh the plate. Maybe your plate weighs 2 grams or let's say 10 grams. Then pour your feed. Maybe your everything is now 60 grams. 60 minus the original weight of the plate. If the plate was 20 grams and the total everything you weighed is 60, 60 minus this will tell me what I am having is 40 grams. Now take your 40 grams of pellet, go to your fish pond, throw. When you are finished throwing your 40 grams, let the fishes feed in 5 to 10 minutes. Pick the remaining feeds that they did not eat. Come back and weigh. Yes, it will be negligible because of the wet weight once the feed hits the water. But when you come back and weigh, now you realize that maybe when you came back to weigh, what is remaining was 15 grams. So you know what I am feeding my fishes per day is 25 grams per day feed. So that gives you an idea. 2, what kind of plants am I growing? So the first thing is we know how much feed I am using. What kind of plants am I growing? Is it in the vegetative state? Is it a tuber plant? What kind of plant am I growing? 3, what is my planting density? How much plant am I growing per space? Now, these are some of the first things you need to put in mind in calculating how much fish can take care of plants. Next, you ask yourself, what is the type of aquaponic system I am using? What is the type of aquaponic system I am using? Is it the deep water culture? Is it the raft system? Is it the NFT system? Or is it the flood and drain? Now, these things are important because you need to know how much time or how much distance your water will travel. How much am I going to waste in between, assuming there is no wastage in between. So these are some of the things. Decide what type of aquaponic system am I going to be using. 2, what type of fish am I growing? The person growing tilapia fish is not going to do the same thing with somebody growing catfish or somebody doing goldfish. Is my fish for profit, that's for eating, or is it economical for fun? Sorry, not economical, is it ornamental? Personally speaking, I don't think I'm ever going to rear goldfish. If you want to see how fishes jump and you're happy, come and see the catfish jump and we eat it. But you need to know why you're doing it. Then, what is your capacity of operation while you are doing? Is your fish pond 1,000 liters, 2,000 liters, 3,000 liters? These are some of the nitty-gritty we'll be looking at to determine how much feed do I need. We've talked about plant type. Then the environment and water quality. What is the environment like? Then what type of filtration are you using? Now, in general, this is when you consider all of these, if what you are growing is a vegetative plant, you know, I have explained earlier how to do your feed ratio, how to calculate how much feed you use. So if what you are growing is a vegetative plant, between 40 gram and 50 gram of feed used, this can take care of your leafy vegetable per day. So this can take care of about 100 vegetables daily. Between 40 to 50 gram of feed used daily will take care of about 100, or better still, let's put it in a way, because we say 100, that might look harsh, will take care of a square meter of plants. So when we say square meter, it means 1 meter by 1 meter space. So if you apply 40 to 50 gram, and the kind of vegetables you are growing are the vegetative type, leafy greens. Leafy greens. So if you are growing lettuce, shoko, tete. Okay, somebody is wondering what's the meaning of what's shoko and tete in English. I know one is coscoros, the other one check with your Yoruba friends. Or if you are growing water leaf, you are growing parsley, mint. All these ones are leafy greens. So if what you are feeding the fish, if you calculate I am feeding the fish between 40 and 50 gram of feed, then the plant's space for growing should not be more than 1 meter by 1 meter. If what you are feeding the fish is 1 kilogram, convert that to the square meter space. But if you are growing fruity vegetables, so by fruity plants we mean things like tomatoes, eggplants, pepper, and all of that, then you need to feed your fishes between 50 to 80 gram of feed for you to take care of 1 meter by 1 meter space. I hope that makes sense. I take that again. Leafy greens, 40 gram to 50 gram of feed, 1 square meter. Fruity greens, 50 to 80 gram of feed per day. Remember, this feed is per day, not per feeding. We are saying the cumulative per day. If you feed morning and evening, the total feed you feed per day is what you are going to add up to know how much square meter you are using. Now, somebody is probably wondering, what if I am doing 10 layers? Calculate each layers as a square meter. So the first one is 1 square meter, second square meter, as you go for each layer. So it's not like 1 square meter, you just say 1 square meter, you do 1 million layers there. No. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So I will pause here. We will continue again in the next video. Still this section we are not done. Thank you.